Habibi. Mama.
Say hi. Mayar. I never thought that I would be married to somebody from Yemen. We don't have great options. It's either I stay here and my daughter doesn't get to see her dad, doesn't get to grow up with a father, and have to suffer the consequences of a child not having a father in her life, or go back to a war zone and have to live in a third world country where there's no electricity, there's not much running water, poverty is high, the bombs are continuing. Even with this travel ban, I never regret my decision.
The travel ban is, I think, an affront to what America has always stood for, which is recognizing that our country was built on immigrants and on diversity and welcoming people from other countries. To now say to families, just because you are from a certain country, we're going to categorically bar you from coming in, makes no sense.
Yemen is one of 7 countries affected by the travel ban. Because the ban bars her husband from entering the United States, Sondos Al-Silwi and her daughter are planning to move to Yemen.
Growing up, I always identified myself as an American, and I was always proud to be an American. I don't want to go to a different country. I want to live in my country. Like, why am I forced to now leave my own home because of this racism and this fear? I want people to understand that this travel ban, it affects citizens like myself more than anything else. I'm having to leave everything, put my job and my career on hold, and live in a war zone because of this immigration ban, because I can't bring in my husband. I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a wife, just like anybody else. I am a human being.
And this is the protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States.
The motivation behind the 3 different travel bans, given that they're not specifically targeted to countries that have a history of attacking the U.S., and that they are focused on countries that are predominantly Muslim without a history of security risk to us, it seems that they're intended to rile up his base and to show that he is keeping out the scary other in whatever way we define that. In this case, for Muslims, I think it's all about politics and not about keeping the U.S. safe.
We got married in July of 2016. The plan was always to come back to America and live in America. I sent in the application in October of 2016. They did not send me a reply until July of 2017. It was always just, it's processing, you just have to wait. And then finally, this year of 2018, they told me that they put me on the list to get an interview. That happened in April. And until now, I haven't received anything. Never in a million years did I ever think that something as like a travel ban would ever occur. I thought it was a joke. The same way that I thought Donald Trump becoming a president was a joke. And then I'm like, okay, well, it's gonna go to the Supreme Court. And I'm like, okay, if we have like, one person that's not thinking straight in their head, at least the Supreme Court would think more logically and they're not gonna go through with this ban. June comes and the Supreme Court rules in his favor. That was like a slap in the face.
Whether you're talking about the effect on businesses or on American families, we have people who are outside the country who would otherwise be entitled to be here. They've got the requisite relationship with a family member, but they're just blocked at the border.
Yemen has been in a bloody civil war since 2015, causing the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. More than 22 million Yemenis are in need of food, water, fuel, shelter, and sanitation. Every 10 minutes, a child under 5 dies of preventable causes.
When I was with my husband, when we were living this past year, there were snipers that came into our neighborhood and they were shooting on top of the roofs. And for a whole week, we were locked in the house. We couldn't even sleep in our own bedroom because our bedroom had too many windows that the bullets can go through. So we had to stay in a room that there were no windows. That's not a memory that I want my child to have. I can't, I don't think about her leaving at all. If I know that something is bad about it, I won't think about it until the moment comes.
It's getting worse over there.
I can always come back if it gets really bad.
It's not that easy.
I know, it's not that easy. I wouldn't want someone to deprive me of my father. So I wouldn't want to do that to her. It's tough. What are we gonna do? When I got Mayar, I started thinking about having to go back to Yemen, her growing up there. I started crying. And I don't easily cry, but as a parent, you always want the best for your child. I want Mayar to grow up in a safe, loving environment. I want her to have a beautiful childhood memories. There's certain things that I'm not gonna be able to provide for her because it's just not there in Yemen anymore. At the bright side, we get to be a family. And my daughter gets to meet her dad gets to meet his daughter. We live in this not so perfect world, but we get to be with each other. It's not something that I want, but I have to.
Sondos doesn't have an attorney and hasn't gotten an update on her visa application since April 2018. Before the travel ban, most people who applied for spousal visas got them, as long as they could show sufficient family income, no medical issues, no criminal history, or prior deportations. But now, even if they meet those requirements, the only option for applicants on the banned countries list is to be granted an individual waiver by an official at the State Department or Customs and Border Protection.
You'd have to show that it would be an extreme hardship on your family members if you weren't allowed in. For this young woman to show her husband should come and be with her and her newborn child, what's the U.S. national interest other than just keeping families whole? I would argue that that's a significant interest, but the travel ban didn't define what's extreme hardship, what's in the national interest, and so, how will she prove that? At this point, it's unclear when, if ever, the ban will end. It's possible that countries will stay on indefinitely, and family separation that's been forced upon citizens and green card holders here who are trying to bring their loved ones here, they may stay apart forever unless the family is willing to relocate and leave the U.S. and go abroad.
The ideal is for him to come here, and we get to have our apartment in New York City. My daughter gets to grow up here, gets to go to school, gets to grow up with her aunts as well and her cousins, make friends and make beautiful memories. That's all I want, just the American dream, basically.